Have you ever had that strange, almost electric feeling that someone in your life sees you differently than everyone else does? Maybe it is a coworker who always seems to find a reason to be near you. Maybe it is a friend who texts you first thing in the morning and last thing at night, but has never once said anything romantic. Maybe it is someone whose eyes linger just a little too long, whose laughter seems a little too genuine when you say something funny, whose whole body language shifts the moment you walk into a room. And yet, nothing. No confession, no clear signal, no direct admission of how they feel. So you are left wondering. You are replaying conversations in your head at 2 in the morning, analyzing a text message they sent you, trying to figure out whether that moment between the two of you meant something, or whether you are reading too far into things. You question yourself. You second-guess your instincts. You wonder if you are being delusional or if you are picking up on something genuinely real. Here is the truth that most people do not talk about openly. Human beings are extraordinarily complex when it comes to emotions. We are wired, on one hand, to seek connection and closeness. But we are also wired, on the other hand, to protect ourselves from rejection, vulnerability, and emotional pain. And when those two drives collide, when someone deeply wants to express their feelings but is simultaneously terrified of what will happen if they do, the result is a fascinating, sometimes maddening pattern of hidden behavior. People hide their feelings for so many reasons. Fear of rejection is the most obvious one, but there are others. They might be afraid of ruining a friendship. They might have been hurt before and sworn they would never let themselves be vulnerable again. They might not even fully understand their own feelings yet and are still processing what is happening inside them. They might believe you are out of their league. They might be uncertain about your relationship status. They might simply be someone who was raised to suppress their emotions rather than express them openly. Whatever the reason, the feelings do not disappear. They get tucked away, pushed down, held back. But they cannot be entirely contained. And that is where psychology becomes incredibly revealing. The science of human behavior tells us something profound. The body and the unconscious mind are not nearly as good at keeping secrets as the conscious mind thinks they are. When someone has strong feelings for another person, those feelings will find a way to leak out. They express themselves in micro-expressions that last only fractions of a second. They show up in subtle changes in body language. They reveal themselves in behavioral patterns that the person exhibiting them might not even be aware of. Have you ever had that strange, almost electric feeling that someone in your life sees you differently than everyone else does? Maybe it is a coworker who always seems to find a reason to be near you. Maybe it is a friend who texts you first thing in the morning and last thing at night, but has never once said anything romantic. Maybe it is someone whose eyes linger just a little too long, whose laughter seems a little too genuine when you say something funny, whose whole body language shifts the moment you walk into a room. And yet, nothing. No confession, no clear signal, no direct admission of how they feel. So you are left wondering. You are replaying conversations in your head at 2 in the morning, analyzing a text message they sent you, trying to figure out whether that moment between the two of you meant something or whether you are reading too far into things. You question yourself. You second-guess your instincts. You wonder if you are being delusional or if you are picking up on something genuinely real. Here is the truth that most people do not talk about openly. Human beings are extraordinarily complex when it comes to emotions. We are wired, on one hand, to seek connection and closeness. But we are also wired, on the other hand, to protect ourselves from rejection, vulnerability, and emotional pain. And when those two drives collide, when someone deeply wants to express their feelings but is simultaneously terrified of what will happen if they do, the result is a fascinating, sometimes maddening pattern of hidden behavior. People hide their feelings for so many reasons. Fear of rejection is the most obvious one, but there are others. They might be afraid of ruining a friendship. They might have been hurt before and sworn they would never let themselves be vulnerable again. They might not even fully understand their own feelings yet, and are still processing what is happening inside them. They might believe you are out of their league. They might be uncertain about your relationship status. They might simply be someone who was raised to suppress their emotions rather than express them openly. Whatever the reason, the feelings do not disappear. They get tucked away, pushed down, held back. But they cannot be entirely contained. And that is where psychology becomes incredibly revealing. The science of human behavior tells us something profound. The body and the unconscious mind are not nearly as good at keeping secrets as the conscious mind thinks they are. When someone has strong feelings for another person, those feelings will find a way to leak out. They express themselves in micro-expressions that last only fractions of a second. They show up in subtle changes in body language. They reveal themselves in behavioral patterns that the person exhibiting them might not even be aware of. In this deep dive exploration, we are going to walk through 9 specific psychology-backed signs that someone is hiding romantic feelings for you. We are not talking about vague generalizations or wishful thinking. We are talking about real, documented patterns of human behavior that researchers and psychologists have studied extensively. We are going to unpack the why behind each sign, explain the psychology driving it, help you understand what to look for, and give you the context you need to interpret what you are seeing accurately. By the end of this, you will have a completely different understanding of the people around you. You will understand human emotional behavior at a deeper level, and you might just finally have the answer to the question that has been keeping you up at night. So let us begin. Sign number 1. They give you an unusual amount of their attention. The first and perhaps most foundational sign that someone is hiding feelings for you is something that sounds simple on the surface, but is actually quite psychologically profound when you examine it closely. They give you a disproportionate, unusual, almost remarkable amount of their attention. Now, when we say attention, we do not mean just looking at you. We mean something far more comprehensive than that. Think about the world we live in. We are all drowning in distractions. The average person picks up their phone more than 150 times per day. Social media platforms are specifically engineered by teams of behavioral psychologists to capture and hold your attention as long as possible. Everyone around us is competing for our mental bandwidth. Notifications, deadlines, responsibilities, entertainment, social obligations. Human attention in the modern world is arguably the most precious and scarce resource that exists. And yet, despite all of that, despite every possible distraction pulling at them from every direction, this person consistently gives you their full, undivided, genuine attention. When you are talking to them, their phone stays in their pocket. Their eyes do not wander around the room. They are not mentally composing their grocery list while you speak. They are actually there, fully present, hanging on your words in a way that feels almost unusual because we are so rarely on the receiving end of truly undivided attention. They remember things you said, not just the big things, the small things, the offhand comment you made 3 weeks ago about a book you wanted to read, the name of your childhood pet that came up once in a passing story, the fact that you mentioned being nervous about a meeting at work on a random Tuesday. They file these things away. They bring them up later. They ask follow-up questions that demonstrate they were genuinely listening and caring about what you shared. From a psychological standpoint, this pattern is deeply telling. Research in the field of social psychology has consistently shown that human beings naturally allocate the most attention to the things they value most. This is not a conscious, deliberate decision. It is largely automatic. We are wired to orient toward what matters to us. Our brains have evolved to prioritize and track the things and people we care about deeply. When someone has romantic feelings for another person, that person occupies a significant amount of mental and emotional real estate. Psychologists call this phenomenon intrusive thinking, not in a negative sense, but in the sense that thoughts about the person keep appearing in the mind unbidden. Keep pulling attention back. Keep making the emotionally invested person hyper-aware of everything connected to their feelings. The result is that when you are actually present and interacting with someone who has hidden feelings for you, their attention focuses on you with an intensity that goes beyond social norms or politeness. They are not performing attentiveness. They are genuinely, almost helplessly interested in you. You might also notice that this attention extends to their awareness of you, even when you are not directly interacting. They notice when you seem tired or preoccupied, even before you say anything. They pick up on small changes in your mood. They are attuned to you in a way that most people in your life are simply not, because most people in your life do not have that same emotional investment. Here is something important to understand. Human beings are generally not that attentive to each other. We are mostly preoccupied with our own lives, our own problems, our own thoughts. When someone breaks through that natural self-absorption and is consistently, genuinely focused on you, that is not accidental. That is not just good manners. That is emotion-driving behavior. One more dimension of this. Pay attention to how they pay attention specifically when you mention other people in the context of relationships. If you talk about someone you went on a date with, or mention finding someone attractive or reference an ex, watch what happens to their attention. Does something shift? Does something subtle but noticeable change in their energy? Does the quality of their focus sharpen in a slightly uncomfortable way? That heightening of attention around anything related to your romantic life is particularly telling and connects directly to what we will cover in several of the later signs. Sign number 2. Their body language betrays what their words do not say. The human body is a remarkably honest instrument. While the conscious mind can construct a careful narrative, choose deliberate words, maintain a composed expression, and project whatever image it wants the world to see, the body is operating on a different track entirely. And that track is very, very difficult to completely control. This is the foundation of a huge body of research in the field of nonverbal communication. Studies going back decades have shown that the majority of human communication, some researchers put the figure at upwards of 70%, is nonverbal. It happens through body posture, facial expressions, gesture, proximity, touch, and dozens of other channels that most people are not consciously monitoring or controlling. When someone is hiding feelings for you, their body language becomes one of the richest and most reliable sources of information available to you. Here is what to watch for: physical orientation. When someone has feelings for you, their body naturally turns toward you, even in group settings. This is called torso pointing in the field of behavioral psychology, and it happens largely below the level of conscious awareness. When we are emotionally drawn to someone, our whole physical being orients in their direction the way a plant orients towards sunlight. Even if someone is maintaining a carefully neutral or casual expression on their face, if their feet, hips, and chest are consistently pointed toward you while facing away from everyone else in the room, their body is telling you something that their words are not. Proximity. People with hidden feelings tend to gravitate toward the physical space of the person they are drawn to. They find reasons to sit near you, stand near you, walk alongside you. The distance they maintain between themselves and you will typically be smaller than the distance they maintain with other people they are not emotionally invested in. And crucially, they often do not seem aware they are doing this. Mirroring. One of the most well-documented phenomena in the psychology of interpersonal attraction is behavioral mirroring. When we are emotionally connected to or attracted to someone, we unconsciously begin to synchronize our body language with theirs. We adopt similar postures, make similar gestures, match their speaking pace and vocal tone. This happens completely automatically and is rooted in evolutionary mechanisms designed to build rapport and signal alignment. If you notice someone consistently mirroring your movements and posture during interactions, it is a signal of deep subconscious attunement, micro-expressions. These are the brief, involuntary facial expressions that appear and disappear in fractions of a second before a person can consciously control their face. Pioneered in research by psychologist Paul Ekman, micro-expressions reveal genuine emotional states that the person is attempting to conceal or suppress. When someone with hidden feelings sees you, you might catch a flash of genuine delight crossing their face before they school their expression back to neutral. You might catch a fleeting look of longing or softness around the eyes. These are almost impossible to fake and equally difficult to completely suppress. The eyes. There is a reason we talk about eyes being windows to the soul. It is grounded in real behavioral science. Pupil dilation, which is involuntary and uncontrollable, increases in response to seeing something or someone we find attractive or emotionally meaningful. Extended eye contact, the specific quality of a gaze that holds just a moment longer than comfortable, the way someone's eyes move in a particular pattern when they look at you, these all communicate what the words being spoken carefully conceal. Touch. People with hidden feelings often experience an increased drive to make physical contact, and simultaneously an increased self-consciousness about that drive. The result is often what researchers call accidental or incidental touch, the hand that brushes yours when passing something, the brief contact on the arm during a conversation, leaning in slightly during a shared moment. These touches are often brief, can be explained away as casual or accidental, but they happen with a frequency and deliberateness that goes beyond coincidence. Nervous behaviors. Perhaps most tellingly, someone hiding strong feelings will often display behavioral indicators of anxiety, specifically in your presence or in situations that feel emotionally charged relative to you. They might fidget more. They might touch their face or hair. Their voice might change pitch slightly. Their movements might become slightly less fluid, slightly more self-conscious. This is the fight-or-flight nervous system activating in response to emotional risk, and it is a very, very hard thing to fake or fully control. The key here is not to look for any single one of these signals in isolation. It is to look for clusters of them and for patterns over time. Anyone might mirror someone else occasionally. Anyone might make extended eye contact in a specific moment. It is when you observe multiple of these signals consistently across many different interactions and contexts that the picture they paint becomes meaningful. Sign number 3. They are intensely curious about your personal life, especially your love life. There is a particular kind of curiosity that someone who has hidden feelings for you will display, and once you understand the psychology behind it, it becomes very easy to recognize. It is the kind of curiosity that goes beyond normal friendly interest. It zeroes in with a subtle but unmistakable focus on the aspects of your life that are most relevant to whether or not a romantic possibility might exist between the two of you. Let us put this in psychological context. When we develop feelings for someone, our brain essentially begins running a perpetual background calculation. It is assessing, is there an opportunity here? Is this person emotionally available? Are they interested in someone else? What are my chances? This is not necessarily a cold or calculating process. It is often a deeply anxious and emotionally loaded one. But the information our brain needs to run this calculation is specific. It needs to know about your romantic life. So the person with hidden feelings starts asking questions. They want to know whether you are seeing anyone. They want to know how your dating life is going. If they know you went on a date recently, they will subtly, or sometimes not so subtly, want to know how it went. If you mention someone attractive, they will want to know how you know that person and what your relationship with them is like. But here is the interesting part. Because they are hiding their feelings, They cannot ask these questions directly. They cannot say what they are actually thinking, which is something like, "Are you emotionally available, and is there any possibility you might have feelings for me?" Instead, they have to find indirect ways to gather the information they are desperately seeking. You might notice them steering conversations toward the topic of relationships, love, and dating in general, as a way of eventually getting to the specifics of your situation. They might ask seemingly casual questions about your type, about what you find attractive in a partner, about what your ideal relationship would look like. And while these questions might appear to be light conversational topics, they are also gathering data. They might ask your mutual friends about your romantic life if they feel they cannot ask you directly. They might pay close attention to anything you post on social media that gives clues about your relationship status. They might read into ambiguous statements you make, looking for signs that you might be open to something. Here is the psychological mechanism driving all of this. When we have feelings for someone, the uncertainty about whether those feelings could ever be reciprocated is genuinely painful. The brain does not handle ambiguity and uncertainty about emotionally important outcomes very well. It drives us to seek information, any information that reduces the uncertainty, that gives us some sense of where we stand and what is possible. The result is that person in your life who always seems a little too interested in who you are or are not dating, who seems to brighten noticeably when you indicate you are single, and whose interest in your romantic life seems just slightly more intense than that of your other friends or acquaintances. There is another dimension to this sign worth noting. When someone is interested in you, they are also intensely curious about your inner world, your values, your beliefs, your dreams, your fears, your past. This is because romantic attraction is not just about physical appeal. It is about wanting to know and understand another person deeply. So alongside the specific curiosity about your love life, you may notice a broader, deeper level of interest in who you are as a person. An interest in understanding you at a level that goes beyond what casual friendship or professional relationships typically require. Sign number 4. They become different around you, a noticeably different version of themselves. One of the most psychologically fascinating signs that someone is hiding feelings for you is a shift, sometimes dramatic, sometimes subtle, in their behavior, specifically when you are around compared to how they behave in other contexts or with other people. This is a sign that requires some observation across different situations to really see clearly. But once you have noticed it, it is hard to unsee. Here is the psychological foundation. When we are around someone we have strong feelings for, we are not in our baseline emotional state. We are in an elevated state, nervous, excited, hyper-aware, emotionally activated. We are more concerned about how we are coming across. We care more about whether we are being interesting, attractive, funny, appealing. We are simultaneously more ourselves in some ways, more genuinely engaged, more energetic, more alive, and less ourselves in other ways, more self-conscious, more anxious, more likely to stumble over our words or do something we immediately want to take back. The result is that someone hiding feelings for you will often display what psychologists describe as an altered presentation, specifically in your presence. This can manifest in several different directions, depending on the personality of the person and the specific context. Some people become louder, funnier, more animated, and more energetic when around the person they have feelings for. They are performing in the most genuine sense of the word, not dishonestly, but in the sense that their emotional activation is driving them to put their best, most engaging self forward. They want to be memorable to you. They want you to enjoy being around them. They want to make you laugh, make you think, make you feel good. And because of that want, they bring an energy to their interactions with you that is noticeably different from their baseline. Other people go in exactly the opposite direction. They become quieter, more reserved, even slightly awkward. Not because they are uninterested, but because the emotional stakes feel so high that they become self-conscious and overthink everything. They know they care too much about what you think of them, and that awareness creates a kind of performance anxiety. You might notice them being perfectly relaxed and confident with everyone else, and then becoming strangely stilted or overly careful when they interact with you. Still others toggle between these two states, swinging from overly animated and trying too hard in one moment to suddenly becoming quiet and retreating the next, as though they caught themselves revealing too much and pulled back. The key is not which direction the behavior shifts, but the fact that there is a noticeable shift at all. If someone behaves genuinely differently around you compared to how they behave in other contexts, if mutual friends have mentioned it, if you have observed it yourself, if there is something clearly different about their energy when you are present, that inconsistency is psychologically significant. There is also the specific pattern of becoming extra helpful, extra kind, extra generous, specifically around you. Someone with hidden feelings often finds reasons to be useful to you, to help you with things, to offer their time, their skills, their resources in ways that go beyond normal friendship or social obligation. This helping behavior is partly an expression of genuine care and partly an unconscious strategy to create closeness and to demonstrate their value to you. Psychologists sometimes call this altruistic display, and while it is genuine in intent, it is also emotionally motivated in ways the person might not fully acknowledge, even to themselves. Sign number 5. Jealousy shows up, even when it has no business being there. Jealousy is one of those emotional responses that is extraordinarily difficult to manufacture convincingly and equally difficult to completely suppress. And when it comes to someone hiding romantic feelings for you, jealousy becomes one of the most reliable and revealing signs in the entire constellation of behaviors we are discussing. Here is the core psychology. Jealousy, in its most fundamental sense, is the emotional response to a perceived threat to something we value and want to keep or attain. In romantic contexts, it is triggered by the possibility that someone we want might be interested in, attracted to, or moving towards someone else. It is a protective emotional response, not always rational, not always fair, but deeply automatic. The critical thing about jealousy in the context of hidden feelings is this: you cannot genuinely feel jealous about something you do not actually want. The emotion does not work that way. You can fake happiness. You can perform indifference. But genuine jealousy, the kind that produces real physiological and emotional responses, only emerges when there is genuine emotional investment. So when someone who claims to be just a friend, just a co-worker, just an acquaintance, starts displaying subtle but clear signs of jealousy when you interact with or mention other people, that jealousy is telling you something very real about their inner emotional state. What does jealousy look like when someone is trying to hide it? It rarely looks like the dramatic, overt jealousy we see in movies. Real hidden jealousy tends to be far more subtle and dressed in other clothes. It might look like a noticeable change in energy when you mention spending time with someone they perceive as a romantic threat. Their conversation might become slightly stilted. Their body language might close off. They might ask questions about the person you mentioned with a casualness that does not quite ring true. It might look like subtle criticism of the people you date or find attractive, not necessarily overt negativity, but gentle undermining. Oh, he seems like a nice guy, but isn't he kind of... Or, she's pretty, I guess. But I heard that she... This is not malicious in most cases. It is an expression of the uncomfortable feeling of wanting something and feeling that something is slipping away or being given to someone else. It might look like withdrawal, When someone with hidden feelings is confronted with evidence that you are interested in or pursuing someone else, they sometimes pull back emotionally. They might be less available, less communicative, less present for a period of time. This is them protecting themselves from the emotional discomfort of witnessing something painful. It might also look like increased effort on their part. Paradoxically, seeing that you are interested in someone else might trigger them to suddenly be more present, more attentive, more charming around you. This is the emotional equivalent of suddenly realizing you might lose something before you have even fully admitted to yourself that you wanted it. Pay close attention to the moments when you mention other people romantically or express interest in someone else. Watch for that flicker of something, that brief involuntary change in expression or energy before the carefully maintained mask goes back on. That flicker is real. That flicker is the hidden feeling momentarily breaking through the surface. Sign number 6. They find excuses to make contact and keep in touch. If someone has hidden feelings for you, proximity matters to them deeply. Both physical proximity when possible and the sense of emotional proximity that comes from consistent communication and contact. Because they are not in a position where they can simply say, "I want to be around you because I have feelings for you," they will find other, seemingly legitimate reasons to make contact. And if you pay attention to the pattern of when and how these contacts occur, something very revealing emerges. Notice who initiates contact between you. Is it almost always them? Do they find reasons to reach out that, while individually reasonable, seem collectively like more than coincidence? A meme that reminded them of you, an article they thought you would find interesting, a question they could have easily figured out themselves but asked you instead, a random check-in to see how you're doing, a comment on something you posted days ago that most people scrolled past without engaging. From a psychological perspective, this pattern of frequent, seemingly casual contact is a form of what researchers call approach motivation, the drive to move towards something desired. In the animal kingdom, approach behaviors are very clear. In humans, they are more socially sophisticated and dressed in the clothes of normal interaction, but the underlying drive is the same. There is also a digital dimension to this that is worth unpacking. In the age of social media and messaging, someone with hidden feelings leaves a particular kind of digital footprint. They watch your stories almost immediately after you post them. They are among the first to react or comment on your posts. They notice and reference things from your social media in conversation, revealing that they are paying close attention even when you are not interacting directly. They respond to your messages quickly, often significantly more quickly than they respond to others. None of these individual behaviors is conclusive on its own, but combined with the other signs we have discussed, and when the pattern is consistent over time, they paint a clear picture of someone who is oriented toward you, who is seeking connection with you, who is finding every legitimate avenue available to maintain that sense of closeness. There is something particularly telling about the content and quality of the communication too. When someone has hidden feelings for you, they tend to invest more thought and care into what they say to you than they invest in communication with others. A message that might take most people 30 seconds to dash off might take this person several minutes to craft, because they are thinking carefully about how it will land, whether it is funny or interesting or warm enough, whether it conveys the right tone. The result is communication that feels slightly more considered, more personal, more intentional than average. They also tend to be better than average at following up on things. They remember the conversation you had last week about the project you were nervous about, and they ask how it went. They remember you mentioned a health concern, and they check in about it. This follow-through is another expression of the attention and investment we discussed in the first sign, and it reflects the degree to which you are occupying their mental and emotional space. Sign number 7. They protect you and defend you in ways that go beyond normal friendship. There is a protective instinct that activates powerfully when we have deep feelings for someone. It is one of the oldest and most deeply rooted aspects of human emotional bonding, and it is very hard to fake convincingly or suppress entirely. When someone has hidden romantic feelings for you, you will often notice them stepping into a protective or advocating role in your life, in ways that seem disproportionate to the nature of your stated relationship. This can show up in many different ways depending on the context and the specific personalities involved. In social settings, if someone says something unkind or disrespectful about you or to you, the person with hidden feelings is often among the quickest, if not the quickest, to step in and defend you. Their defense is not neutral or measured the way someone with no emotional investment might respond. It has an edge to it, an urgency, a personal quality that reveals that the affront to you registered with them as an affront to something they care deeply about. In professional contexts, they go out of their way to speak well of you, to recommend you, to advocate for your interests. They celebrate your successes in a way that feels genuinely warm and invested. They are troubled by your professional setbacks in a way that feels more personal than the situation warrants for someone who is supposedly just a colleague or acquaintance. In personal challenges, when you're going through something difficult, when you're struggling, when you're stressed or anxious, they show up with a quality of concern and support that goes beyond what is typically expected. They want to help in practical ways. They check in repeatedly. They make themselves available in ways that involve genuine sacrifice of their own time and energy. This protective orientation also shows up in the way they talk about you to others. People who care about someone speak about them differently, with a warmth, a pride, a protectiveness in their voice that registers even to outside observers. If you have ever heard through the grapevine that this person consistently says wonderful things about you to others, speaks about you with something that sounds like admiration or affection, defends your reputation even when you are not present, that is not random. That is genuine feeling expressing itself through the only channels available to it, when direct expression is not yet possible. From a psychological standpoint, this protective behavior is rooted in what evolutionary psychologists call mate guarding and parental investment theory concepts applied more broadly to bonding. When we are emotionally bonded to or invested in someone, we feel a genuine stake in their well-being and a genuine aversion to seeing them harmed, threatened, or diminished. This is not strategic calculation. It is an emotional response that arises naturally and powerfully from genuine attachment. The depth and consistency of this protectiveness is a meaningful signal. Most people in your life might occasionally speak up for you or help you through a hard time, but the person hiding feelings for you does it with a frequency, an immediacy, and a depth of investment that stands apart. Sign number 8. They get nervous around you in a very specific way. Nervousness around someone you have feelings for is one of the most universally recognized phenomena in the entire spectrum of human emotional experience. Almost everyone has felt it. That racing heart, the slightly clumsy words, the heightened self-consciousness, the feeling of being exquisitely aware of your own every move and expression. But here is what makes this sign particularly useful in the context of identifying someone who is hiding their feelings. The nervousness is specific. It is calibrated to you and to emotionally charged situations involving you, not a general feature of that person's personality and behavior. This specificity is crucial. If someone is simply an anxious person by temperament, they will display nervousness broadly. In social situations, in professional contexts, with many different people. But when the nervousness is targeted, when it appears specifically around you, or specifically when the conversation touches on certain topics, it means something very different. What does this kind of targeted nervousness look like? Their voice might change when they are talking to you. It might soften. It might drop in pitch. It might develop a slight tremor or breathiness. Vocal quality is controlled by muscles that are highly responsive to emotional state, and these changes are very difficult to consciously manage. They might laugh more than usual or at slightly inappropriate moments. Nervous laughter is one of the most universal and automatic responses to emotional tension. They might stumble over their words, start sentences and trail off, say something and immediately second-guess themselves. They might display the classic anxiety behaviors, touching their face, adjusting their hair or clothing, shifting their weight, fidgeting with an object in their hands. These are self-soothing behaviors that the nervous system activates automatically under conditions of emotional stress. There is also a fascinating phenomenon in which someone with hidden feelings for you will sometimes do something clumsy, awkward, or slightly out of character in your presence, and then seem almost disproportionately mortified by it. This exaggerated self-consciousness about minor missteps reflects the degree to which your opinion of them matters, which is, of course, a direct indicator of how much they care. Blushing is another signal worth noting. While some people blush more readily than others, as a general matter of physiology, blushing that occurs specifically during interactions with you, or when you make a particular kind of comment to them, is a genuine physiological response to emotional activation that is essentially impossible to consciously control. Here is the important psychological framing for this sign. Anxiety, in the context of human emotions, is fundamentally a response to situations where something we care about feels at risk. We do not feel anxious about things that do not matter to us. We feel anxious specifically when something meaningful feels uncertain or potentially in jeopardy. The person who becomes noticeably specifically nervous around you is experiencing anxiety because the interaction with you carries emotional weight that other interactions do not carry. You matter to them in a way that creates stakes, and those stakes manifest as the physiological and behavioral markers of anxiety. Pay attention to the contrast. Watch how they interact with people they have no emotional investment in versus how they interact with you. The difference, when it is there, is unmistakable once you know to look for it. Sign number 9. They engage in prolonged, meaningful, slightly ambiguous conversations. The final sign we are going to explore is perhaps the most nuanced and the most emotionally rich of all the signals we have covered, and understanding the psychology behind it requires us to go into some depth. When someone has hidden feelings for you, they face a fundamental and deeply uncomfortable paradox. They want to be close to you, to create genuine intimacy and connection with you. But they cannot do so through the most direct avenue available to them, which would be expressing their feelings honestly. So they seek connection through the channels that are available, and one of the most powerful of those channels is conversation. Not just any conversation, but a particular kind of conversation. Long, meandering, intimate, slightly charged conversation that goes deeper than the occasion technically requires. Conversations that cover wide territory, your pasts, your values, your dreams, your regrets, your fears, your ideas about love and life and meaning. Conversations that leave you feeling genuinely seen and known. There is a fascinating body of psychological research behind why this particular behavior is so common in people with hidden feelings. Studies on intimacy development, most famously work by psychologist Arthur Aaron, who developed the 36 questions research on closeness, have shown that the exchange of deep personal information, specifically the mutual revelation of increasingly personal and vulnerable things, is one of the most powerful mechanisms available for building emotional intimacy between two people. Someone with hidden feelings, often without being fully conscious of the strategy they are employing, will engage you in these kinds of conversations because the intimacy they create feels like a sanctioned expression of what they feel. They cannot say, "I love you" yet, but they can create, through conversation, the conditions of closeness and mutual knowing that loving someone involves. These conversations have a particular quality to them. They often happen late at night, not by accident, since late-night conversations carry a natural intimacy, a lowering of guards, a sense of the world having contracted to just the two of you. They go places that most of your conversations with other people do not go. They involve moments of real vulnerability from the person with hidden feelings. They share things with you that they do not typically share with others. Again, because the emotional investment they have in you makes them want you to know and understand them deeply. There is also, in these conversations, a subtle but consistent thread of ambiguity. Comments that could be read as friendly or as something more. Observations about you that are warm to the point of tenderness, but wrapped in enough deniability that they could be explained away. Questions about your views on relationships, on what you want in a partner, on what you find meaningful, that can simultaneously be casual conversation and information-gathering missions driven by something deeper. Watch for conversations that seem to find their way again and again to certain topics. The future, what you both want from life, what a good relationship looks like, whether you believe in love, what your relationship history has taught you. These conversations are not random. They are the person's way of simultaneously expressing the feelings they cannot state openly and testing the waters to see how you might feel in return. There is also the conversation that does not want to end. When someone has hidden feelings for you, the end of an interaction with you represents returning to a state of longing and distance. So they delay endings. They extend conversations that have naturally come to a close. They find one more thing to say, one more question to ask, one more topic to introduce. The goodbye that takes 30 minutes. The phone call that lasts 3 hours. The exchange that started as a quick message and turned into an hours-long dialogue. This reluctance to end contact is one of the most tender and genuine expressions of what the person is feeling, because it is driven by something so simple. They just want to keep being near you in whatever way is available to them. Understanding the full picture. What psychology tells us about emotional concealment. Now that we have walked through all 9 signs in detail, it is worth stepping back and understanding the larger psychological picture. Why people hide feelings in the first place, what this costs them emotionally, and what it means for how you interpret and respond to what you are experiencing. The concealment of romantic feelings is fundamentally a self-protective strategy. It is rooted in fear, and not irrational fear either. The fear of expressing romantic feelings and being rejected is one of the most viscerally uncomfortable experiences available to the human emotional system. Rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Research using brain imaging has confirmed this. It is not a metaphor that rejection hurts. It genuinely, neurologically hurts. Beyond the fear of rejection, people conceal feelings for reasons that are often complex and layered. The fear of ruining something existing. If there is already a valued friendship, a professional relationship, or a social dynamic at stake, the person with hidden feelings may genuinely fear that expressing themselves will destroy something they value, even if the concealment means perpetually denying themselves what they most want. Past wounds. People who have been deeply hurt in previous relationships sometimes make a psychological decision, often not fully conscious, to protect themselves by never again exposing themselves to that level of vulnerability. Hiding feelings is a way of keeping the armor on. Self-worth concerns. People who struggle with feelings of unworthiness or inadequacy may genuinely believe that expressing their feelings is futile because they are convinced the other person could not possibly feel the same. The hiding is not just protective, it is a manifestation of a belief about themselves, uncertainty about their own feelings. Sometimes feelings are being hidden not because the person fully knows what they feel and is choosing to conceal it, but because they are genuinely in the process of understanding their own emotional state. The behaviors we have described can appear before a person has even consciously acknowledged to themselves that what they are experiencing is romantic feeling. Understanding these layers of motivation behind the concealment should generate something important: compassion. When you identify these signs in someone's behavior, you are seeing someone who is navigating something genuinely difficult. The experience of caring deeply about another person while carrying the weight of that caring alone, without knowing whether it will ever be acknowledged or returned. This understanding should also inform how you respond. If you share the feelings, knowing these signs can give you the confidence to create an opening, to make it safer for the person to express themselves, to signal your own receptivity in ways that reduce the emotional risk they are facing. If you do not share the feelings, knowing these signs should deepen your sensitivity to how you handle the situation, recognizing that there is a real person with real emotional vulnerability on the other side of what might seem like ambiguous or confusing behavior. The critical question: how to tell if you are reading the signs correctly. Here is something that must be addressed honestly and directly. Confirmation bias is real, and it can lead us to see things that are not there. Confirmation bias is the psychological tendency to interpret ambiguous information in ways that confirm what we already want to believe. If you are hoping that someone has feelings for you, your brain will be predisposed to interpret their behavior in that light. You might read attentiveness as attraction when it is simply friendliness. You might read nervousness as romantic anxiety when it is simply personality. You might read jealousy into behavior that has a more prosaic explanation. How do you protect yourself from this? First, look for clusters of signs, not isolated incidents. None of the 9 signs we have discussed is conclusive on its own. It is the consistent presence of multiple signs across many different interactions and contexts that creates a meaningful pattern. Second, consider alternative explanations genuinely and fairly. Before concluding that someone's behavior is romantically motivated, ask yourself whether there are other explanations that make equal or greater sense given what you know about this person and your relationship with them. Third, consider the overall context of your relationship. The signs we have discussed mean different things in different contexts. Between people who are close friends and spend a great deal of time together, high levels of attention and communication are normal. What is significant is when these behaviors are distinctly elevated above what would be expected given the baseline of the relationship. Fourth, trust your gut, but interrogate it. Intuition is often picking up on real signals. Our unconscious minds process social information at a level of sophistication our conscious minds cannot fully match. But intuition can also be shaped by desire and wishful thinking, so trust it as data to consider rather than as certainty. And finally, there is no substitute for actual communication. The signs we have discussed are valuable for understanding human behavior and developing social and emotional intelligence. But the most reliable way to know whether someone has feelings for you is ultimately the most direct one: creating the conditions for honest conversation. The courage it takes to feel and to hide. There is something profound that often gets overlooked in discussions like this one, something that deserves a moment of genuine reflection. The person hiding their feelings for you is doing something that requires a kind of quiet, unrecognized courage. Every day, they show up in your presence and manage the enormously difficult task of caring deeply about you while maintaining an exterior that does not reveal the full extent of what they feel. They participate in conversations about your love life while sitting with the weight of their own unspoken feelings. They watch you move through the world and invest themselves in your happiness in ways that will never be publicly acknowledged as the expressions of love that they are. That is not easy. It is, in fact, genuinely painful. A daily experience of wanting and not having, of being close but not close enough, of caring without the ability to fully express that caring. Whether or not you share the feelings of the person in your life who is displaying these signs, recognizing that emotional reality, acknowledging the humanity and the difficulty of their position, is something that matters. Empathy in these situations is not just appropriate, it is essential. We began this exploration with a question that many of us have asked ourselves at one point or another. Is this person hiding feelings for me? By now, you have a framework drawn from real psychological research and behavioral science that can help you answer that question with far greater clarity and nuance than you had before. You understand that human emotional concealment is a complex, layered phenomenon driven by fear, self-protection, past experience, and the fundamental human terror of vulnerability. You understand that the body and behavior reveal what the words withhold, and that patterns of behavior over time are more meaningful than any single gesture or moment. You understand that attention, body language, curiosity about your personal life, behavioral shifts, jealousy, frequent contact, protectiveness, nervousness, and deep, meaningful conversation are not random, that when they cluster together consistently around one person in particular, they are telling you something important. But perhaps more than any specific sign or psychological fact, the most important thing to take away from everything we have covered is this. Human beings are doing their best to love and to be loved in a world that makes both things genuinely frightening. The person hiding their feelings for you is not being deceptive or manipulative. They are being human. They are caught in that ancient tension between the longing for connection and the fear of rejection that every single person who has ever loved anyone has experienced. What you do with the knowledge you now have is entirely up to you. But now you have it. Now you can see what was always there to see, written in the body language, in the behavioral patterns, in the careful conversations, and the too frequent messages, and the eyes that hold just a moment longer than they need to. The signs were always there. Now you know how to read them. Thank you for spending this time exploring the psychology of hidden feelings and human behavior. If this content resonated with you, share it with someone who might be navigating exactly this kind of emotional complexity in their own life. Because sometimes, the most valuable thing we can offer another person is a new way of seeing what has always been right in front of them.